Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the QCast with me, Steve Q. 2 days in a row, and I'm zooming and podcasting. Must be lockdown fever or something. So today, I've actually got someone. I've got someone who's come back for more. Can you believe it? A second dose of me. This guy is a bit of a legend in marketing circles. He is the country's foremost expert on SEO and LinkedIn. He's an expert on YouTube marketing and promoting your business and ultimately getting your business sales leads that convert into paying clients and customers from YouTube, LinkedIn, and SEO. He is the co-founder and managing director of Institution Marketing in sunny Doncaster. He is Simon Young. Hi, Simon. Welcome.
How are you doing? All right.
Yeah. Was that a good enough intro? The guy I was with yesterday.
Well, you could have.
Said, wow.
Who was that guy you were talking about? Yeah.
The guy I was with yesterday said that he said, "Wow, what an introduction!" And I said, "Actually, I got my inspiration for style of introduction from have you watched Impact Theory on YouTube with Tom Bilyeu?"
Yeah.
Anyone who's not watched it, because he gives these long introductions that he basically summarizes people's careers in the introduction. But he's good. He has some amazing guests on. I was talking to a guy called Jeremy Harbour yesterday, who's recently floated last year, had the most successful company flotation on the NASDAQ, and
the Harbour Master.
The Harbour Master, the Harbour Club guy. Yeah, fantastic guy. Really enjoyed talking to him, and you can definitely tell from talking to him, the way he talks, his whole countenance, the language he uses. You can tell that he's why he's part of the reason that he's so successful in what he does. So how are things in internet marketing, YouTube, Google, SEO, PPC, and LinkedIn land, Simon?
Yeah, well, fraud is going through the roof, like nobody's business. Yeah.
We love fraud. In fact, that was when I was asking Jeremy yesterday about one of his maxims that he's quite well known for is never buy a business that's for sale. And I thought, well, how the fuck do you know if you can buy a business? And he says, well, just sort of approach businesses. But one of the things that he said was businesses are typically listed and the listing agents, a bit like an estate agent, but they'll get money up front. They'll tell you your business is worth 3 million quid when it's worth, half a bar. Take a bit of money off you, or a lot of money off you up front, maybe even take more fees off you along the way, and not find you a buyer, or find you a buyer, take years to do it, where you could have found one quicker yourself, or done something different. And he said it's a fantastic example of almost being advanced fee fraud. But it's a different thing, isn't it, as well, when it's between companies, when it's B2B as opposed to, the good old sort of moms and pops consumers. Yeah. So what did you mean that the industry or the business, not your business, obviously, but...
No, I'm trying not to defraud people, yeah. So, no, yeah. The biggest thing that's going on at the moment is click fraud on Google, so plus Facebook. Wow. So I don't know whether people are genuinely aware, but if you're running Google ads or Facebook ads, typically 15 to 25% of that traffic is fraudulent. So it's bots clicking your ads, or your competitors clicking your ads, and it's well, someone needs to put a stop to it, to be fair. It's the main thing, the main issue. The main issue with it is, so say you're running campaigns and you're optimizing for a conversion event. So maybe, in your case, you'd be wanting phone calls, form fills, whatever, any business, or a sale, add to cart, all of those actions would be what you're optimizing for as a result. And the problem is the bots are that clever now that they can actually optimize for that conversion event. So your campaigns, if you're not protecting yourself from fraud, you're actually optimizing to be defrauded, if you see what I mean. You actually encouraging it by letting, because you will get more conversions from fraudulent clicks than you will from actual potential customers. So if you're set up, and all of, you know, Facebook, and most of what we do is obviously YouTube, Facebook, Google ads, all of that. But if you're set up to actually optimize for that conversion, you're playing into the hands of it at the moment. And there's only really a couple of tools that'll help you. I was speaking to a business called Check this week, which they're spelt CHEQ, based out of Israel. And as far as I know, they're the only people worldwide that will stop fraudulent clicks through Facebook. And someone said to me, well, why would somebody click my ad? Right? What's happening? Why are these bots? Why do they exist? Right? I'll share my screen and show you something, because this is a better demonstration. Okay. Right? Have a look at.
Is it to drive up the cost of the clicks, drive up the cost of the traffic?
Well, have a look at this. Right? Have you seen this ad?
Put my glasses on. Sir Richard Branson, yes, I've seen that before, probably. I think so. Looks like you should have done.
Lots of us have seen this ad, right? Sir Richard Branson is apparently into Bitcoin, right? In a big way. And apparently he went on to This Morning, or is it,
GMTV.
Yeah, GMTV. He went on to GMTV, apparently, and he made... what did he make? £500 for Kate within 10 minutes. You know,
I'd like to make her £500, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but look at
There's
this.
no telling how nice she might be in return.
Well, I don't know whether you can read the URL, whether it's a bit small, but the URL that's on there is finance.mirror.co.uk-articles.investing-fund.com, right? So to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, they'll go, oh, it's on the Daily Mirror.
It must be true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. So I'll go and click this, try buying Bitcoin now, right?
It's true, isn't it? Because we've got a picture of Branson, and that wouldn't be up there if it weren't true, because his people would be all over it. And we've got Kate and the other guy, I forget his name now, the quiz show guy. They're nice, lovely, wholesome people.
Ben Shepherd,
and it's the Mirror. And it's the Mirror, yeah.
Right, but look, they're trying to get you to click this link, which is, that apparently goes to trusted-clicker.com. So you must trust it. You know,
absolutely.
But it absolutely beggars belief that these people are allowed to get away with this sort of stuff. Have I lost you? Are you back?
Yeah, I was just switching my connection, sorry, to a connection in this room. You were saying it beggars belief that these people are allowed to get away with it. So who's doing this then? Who's frauding up Kate Garraway and Ben Shepherd and Richard Branson and the Daily Mirror and putting them into this smorgasbord of lies?
Oh, well, you tell. It could be the mafia, could be Russian, whatever. There's tons of fraudsters out there. When they see get rich quick schemes, there's plenty of it out there. And if you put your money in Bitcoin, good luck, because you ain't ever seeing it again.
Well, unless you use, I've bought and traded cryptocurrency, not much, but and not much and not recently, but I've done it in the past. And I'd only ever use one of the major exchanges like Coinbase, because once once you buy anything, that's why, you know, that huge fraud from Bulgaria with that woman who's missing now, Dr. Ruja Ignatova. It was called OneCoin, and it was a network it was driven by the customers, by a frenzy of greed and out and out muppetism as well, you know. And you paid for it in Bitcoin as well. So when you're buying a, you know, token or nondescript cryptocurrency, and they want you to pay for it in Bitcoin, that's great, because Bitcoin may be going up as well. So you're paying in an appreciating asset or commodity, but it also disappears down the rabbit hole, so you can't get it back from chargebacks or bank guarantees or anything like that.
No.
So yeah, it could well be a mafia scam, couldn't it? You know,
well, the other one is AdSense fraud. So, you know, you as a website owner, you can put ads onto your own site. You'll see them all the time. Like if you go onto the Daily Mail or any of these sites, you'll see ads all the time, little ads in the corner or pop-ups. All of that's
like display and native ads. Yeah.
So display. So if you're a website owner, you can put a display ad onto your site, and then when somebody clicks it, obviously you get paid. You'll get half the revenue off of Google, which if you've got a really high traffic site is decent, or it can be decent. But like some of the really big scams that are going on, imagine if you had 500,000 websites that you had spun up using a bot, right? Yeah. And then you put AdSense ads on all of those sites. So you now own 500,000 sites with ads on them. And then you start sending traffic like the demonstration I've just given you, because that Richard Branson ad, that popped up in my Gmail this morning as a potential, you know, it's a clickbait. You know, the most, you know, the biggest things that get clicked on the internet, well, believe it or not, well, I'm sure you'll believe me, Steve, but it's cleavage, right? But,
right. Okay.
Yeah. Or dogs, you know, cleavage and dogs are pretty standard. Or you'll see Vladimir Putin with his massive fish and click through and read about how he's killed 20 people or done a Novichok, you know, some sort of made up news story that gets people to click through. Well, once you land on those sites, all they're open for you to do is click another ad. Now, the point being, if I'm the advertiser and my ad is on that site, I'm the one paying, and Google doesn't give a flying fuck about whether, excuse the language, but they don't give a toss who clicks it, because they're getting half the revenue anyway. And you as the advertiser can't really find out whether that click was genuine or not, right? So you're seeing thousands of clicks on your ads. Is it converting into anything? No, what it's converting into is cash money in the pocket of the fraudster who's got all of these ads plastered all over his sites. And you think, like, I spoke to a guy in the States yesterday. He's paying $25 to $40 a click, right? They do office moving, right? So it's commercial. It's really competitive. It's $25 to $40 a click. If the fraudsters get his ads onto a page, you think how much money they can make times 500,000 sites, and they're just sitting back. You know, there'll be these mafia bosses sat on an island somewhere with a screen up, just seeing money going. You know.
Well, they've got a team of techies in either Israel or Ukraine or somewhere like that, working in a bunker with guys pointing Kalashnikovs at them. Yeah. Keep typing, Boris. No coffee break.
That's it. Yeah. Fake news, deep fakes, everything. It's all there just to get you to click and click, and they're making their money off the clicks because it's the advertisers that are paying.
So would you describe, even though the internet's, you know, when I've been using it since 1998, and it was being used in America before then. So even though the internet's, you know, let's say the thick end of 30 years old, Would you say it's still very much a terrain or a landscape of the Wild West out there?
Well, it's mental. It's like if you go back to those days you're talking about like the late 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
The big thing was gambling sites. You know, like all the big gambling sites were like take 888 Poker or whatever, name anyone you can, right? They all just wanted users. So the big thing was you could spin up a money site, and by that I mean if you started Steve Q's casino site, right, and you just shed loads of ads on it for all the different casinos, and then you do a bit of blogging, you send some ads to your site, people are clicking it, and people back in the day, people made millions and millions out of that, you know, just because people were, and that's in theory legit, because you know obviously they're recruiting a customer through it. That's not AdSense fraud. But if you look at, you know, genuinely 25% of internet traffic on ads is fraudulent, like absolutely fraudulent, then that's how many billions of pounds a day.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? I'll tell you two funny stories related back to that very quickly, Simon. In around about 2002-3, I was sort of running an investment company in London, and we were in one of these big business centres. It wasn't operated by Regis, but it was somebody like that, another operator. And we had this guy around as a Danish guy called Thomas, and he wasn't working with us. He was just hanging out with us because he knew a couple of sales guys who worked with us. And he knew another firm in our building, and he kept coming to us saying, "Oh, would you come and talk to these guys? They want a bit of investment, you know, a couple of $100,000 or something like that," which, you know, would have been very very doable for us to write that check. He kept coming and talking about these guys and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know, go away, Thomas, go away. I'm not interested. Why wasn't I interested? Because I wasn't interested in that sector. So I've never been into a casino. I think I've maybe had 2 bets on the Grand National in my life. Yeah. But that company was Betfair. So that was a proper fuck up, you know, if I'd invested in that back then. And it's crazy. And then the other thing, I was in Monaco because I used to live there, just outside of Monaco, and I was at the Café de Paris there, and I had a meeting with a guy, and one of his mates came along who was an English guy. I won't mention the name, but this guy was doing online payments for gambling sites in the US that were, or gambling sites that took bets from US citizens, which was illegal because they're not allowed to, or I don't know whether they are now, whether it's changed, but definitely then they weren't allowed to gamble online. And the guy's name came up in conversation the other day, and I think he's had maybe £1 billion. I think he's also extremely wanted as well. He's apparently in Asia now, but he was definitely making shitloads of money at the time. He'd just bought a new Reaver. He'd got like a 25 grand gold kettle on his wrist. You know, you could tell this guy was laughing all the way to the bank. So there you go. Internet gambling. There you go. So what else is new apart from fraud, Simon? What's interesting? I know you've really got hold of this. You and your partner Andy have really got hold of the YouTube marketing and advertising. Talk to me about that a little bit, and for anybody watching, how are people generating income and sales leads from YouTube as opposed to other forms of social?
Well, the difference is it's still free. So I don't know whether everyone realizes, but you get that first 30 seconds free. So if somebody clicks the skip button in that first 30 seconds, you don't pay, which is the brilliant thing. So you've got, like, you know, you get the 6 seconds at the start of an ad, you know, the ads come up. You've got 6 seconds, which you pretty much can't skip. Well, if you can get your call to action, and you know, this is a good conversation where we could have a talk around what those calls to action should be for particular businesses. But that 6 seconds, that magical, you know, attention span, like, yeah, am I paying attention for second 1 and 2? So you've probably only got 4 seconds to hit them before they go to maybe skip. But if they skip, you don't pay. So after 6 seconds, you've got probably another 15, 20 seconds where you can educate them a bit about the product and what the benefits are, sort of hook them in emotionally, then let them skip again. But if they get past 30 seconds, it's only like a penny a view. So the really interesting thing for us, we've been talking to loads of national and global brands over the last month and a half, probably. And I spoke to, I can't say who it is, but like a brand that everybody on earth would know last week. And their challenge is they have what they're calling a YouTube first strategy. So everything they're doing, they know that people are moving away from Facebook. They've been massive on Facebook. They've been spending, well, it's over £1 million a month on Facebook, and they're moving everything now over to YouTube. So they know they can see the opportunity where if you can get the audience right, the opportunities in terms of the AI to target people is 100 times better than Facebook, because Facebook's got a really limited set of sort of targeting metrics that you can put to build your audiences. If I give you an example, I was trying to target some people this week in banking on Facebook. So, yeah, you'd think it's easy. You'd go and target people who follow the banks, right? So yeah, so you build your audience around that. But now I only want commercial. So I only want to target people who follow, you know, Santander /business. You can't really do that on Facebook. So you have to then overlay people who own businesses with people who've been on the banking sites, and it gets a bit messy because, you know, I might have owned a business 3 or 4 years ago, and yes, I like Santander because that's who I happen to bank with, and now I'm in that audience, but I'm probably not right. Whereas what you can do on YouTube, you could take the people that have actually been on the actual URLs of, so I could choose Santander /business as a URL, and then combine that with somebody who has searched for commercial finance, and then only hit the people that have done both of those things in the last 30 days. And then obviously then they've got the opportunity to skip if they're not interested in the product. So then the ones that watch 50% or more of that ad, then we can retarget them. So they watch ad 1, then if they skip it, we might try them again with a different piece of collateral or a different call to action, because we know the audience is right. Give them another go. If they skip again, then we'll probably bin them out of the funnel. But if they watch ad 1 and they watch past X percentage, let's say that's 2 minutes, right? And 4 minutes seems to be the actual sweet spot at the moment, right? So in terms of retention and audience watchability, put it that way, right? We can, you know, after about 4 minutes, people start tuning out. But if we retarget people that have gone past 2 minutes and then educate them further with another, you know what it's about, like warming people up, because obviously it's a cold funnel, isn't it, to start with? But if they do that on video 1, get them to watch video 2. The ones that watch past a certain percentage on video 2, give them video 3, and that's probably when you hit them with the sell. You know, that's when you're going right.
So, I get it. So when you define it, when you're targeting that audience, as you've just outlined there, are you doing that from last 30 days browser and cookie data programmatically with SSPs?
So obviously Google are tightening up on what they'll let you access in the back end, but they're building more and more what you would call custom affinity and intent audiences. And the intent audience is, look, if somebody is in the mood to buy something, right, they have intent, that's when we want them, isn't it? It's like I said to somebody else, I'm a golfer. I've not played golf for 9 months, right? So if you took me on Facebook as a golfer, you can't then take the keyword data into that. So, and this leads to a whole nother discussion, because Facebook's obviously listening, right? So their AI is mainly the fact that WhatsApp is listening to what I'm talking about, right? So anyone can prove this by, you know, if you're not a golfer, talk to your phone, talk to WhatsApp, send some messages through, I nearly said send some massages, but send some messages through WhatsApp. Send some messages through WhatsApps about golf.
There you go, right? Again.
Yeah.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, whoa, yeah. I was talking to someone, I was watching Michael McIntyre last night, that he was talking about massages. It was quite funny, but
really, I find, you know what, I find Michael McIntyre about as funny as shaving my testicles with a cheese grater would be. You know, I really do. But there you go. The only funny thing that made me laugh about him was when he got mugged.
He says he's the only Asian Chinese looking person in his family. That's quite funny.
Oh, right. Okay.
You're not allowed to say that sort of stuff anymore.
Bless him. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? All of that. So how do you, because obviously with my background and other interests as well. So if you've got somebody, say, who is a prime, let's say somebody to buy an investment property, for example, yeah? So this guy, we can target him in terms of his affluence, where he lives, what type of income, what type of car, does he drive a BMW, Mercedes or Bentley, does he go on holiday to the Maldives twice a year, all that sort of thing. And you can see that he's been looking at ways to invest his money, and he's been visiting things to do with property. So that's all well and good, but how do you eliminate, because obviously sales leads cost money, and they can cost a lot of money. How do you eliminate the person who is a complete fantasist, you know, the guy who hasn't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out with, but he really does love the idea and surfs all these property investment and international property investment websites, and he just thinks, yeah, God, if I win the lottery, I'll buy one of those. But he's signing on and he's living in a council flat in Peckham or Hackney, yeah? How do you eliminate him clicking or not seeing the advert so that he doesn't click, so that he doesn't cost the advertiser a shitload of money? Can you do that?
Well, yeah, in that scenario, you'd probably not eliminate him from the first phase, because he is sort of pretending to be our perfect target, right? But you would take him out through what you get him to then do. So a lot of the lead gen process then relies on the qualification stage. When you get them to land on the piece of collateral,
yeah,
you've got to then obviously ask them the questions, qualify them at that point. And that's a balancing act between, do we just take the phone number, email and contact details and get on the phone to him, right, and eliminate him? That's, you know, the good old get him on the phone and get rid or not is a good one. Or you go, that would be the quick and dirty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not good. Excuse me for cutting across. It's not good if I'm the advertiser, if I'm the company, the agent who's selling that investment, and I've got the burden of cost of advertising. It's not good if it's cost me 50, 60 quid to find out that he's got no money, that he's a skint member, daydreamer, or he, oh, I just thought it looked interesting, I'm not really that bothered, you know, give us a call next year.
Yeah.
You don't want too many of those.
Well, the way you would do that is through the evolution of your campaign. So you probably wouldn't get rid of it in month one, because you've got a test. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They don't do the testing that they would need to do. So,
right.
But once you're running all of your campaigns, we would be able to say, right, campaign A with this targeting produced X number of time wasters. And campaign B, although the cost per lead was slightly higher, it was a better quality. And why is that? You know, what within campaign A brought us this wrong person? So that's, you've got to let it learn. And that comes back to and cost per acquisition obviously you try and drive that down as you go forwards, or the quality of the lead you drive up, you know, and you're not necessarily it's all a balancing act between when somebody starts with us, they'll typically tell me what their cost per acquisition of a customer is. And if I can drive, so I've got an example at the moment. I'm driving commercial finance leads for somebody, and their typical cost per acquisition is over £1,000, right? But to actually sign a piece of business, right? So we tried two methods. We tried what we called a quick and dirty method, generating hundreds of leads at like £5-6. And then we've tried the fully qualified. So the first one was on Facebook. And then the other one is the fully qualified funnel, which is on YouTube, where we take people through that steps that I've told you about before, where we warm people up, and people will drop out, you know, unless you've got a very, very pedantic person who's lost in their own daydreams. You know, there shouldn't be many of those, right? But it's about, you know, it's distilling the lead down into, right, okay, we know now maybe we're paying 60-70 quid a lead on that campaign, but we know 1 in 3 we convert. So then you've gone from £1,000 cost of acquisition typically with other means down to now 180 quid, which
which is amazing.
And it's scalable.
I mean, even if theoretically, if somebody were paying say 10 to 15% for the lead of the CPA, then it's not too bad, is it? Yeah, we don't want to be paying very much more than that. So what's happening on that's very interesting, and I'm sure that anybody who's looking to generate leads or sales data would be very interested in that. What's happening on LinkedIn? Because obviously that's where you made your name in a big way online, Simon. What's going on LinkedIn? I mean, it just looks the same to me, but I'm sure there's stuff going on in the background.
Well, there's every man and his dog's running automated systems now, aren't they? So, yeah, as you know, I wrote a load of those systems back in the day, and built my business off the back of a lot of that. But I still get 20, 30, 40 automated, you know, inbox messages a day. Anything longer than one paragraph, I don't even bother reading it, and I'm sure most of the people watching are exactly the same. What's working for me is sending. I've gone to a very, very direct approach now, so straight to the top, very short message. Do you want some help? Do you want some insight with this? If they don't reply, no. And I'm now getting probably 15-20% reply rate. And these are blue chip, C-suite, you know, top level people. And then at that point, I'm moving to, right, here's the first email we send them, which is just give me a bit of a detail about what you want to know in terms of the research you want us to do. And they'll either reply to that or not. If they don't reply, I'll leave it. And then the ones that come back, typically they'll say, let's just set up a meeting with our marketing department. So it just shortcuts the whole thing. It's a bit like your pre-qualification thing, you know, like let's cut all the crap out before, you know, just go for the ones that are interested.
What do you think when you get these? It's either a connection request with the message, or once you've accepted somebody's connection request, they go, "Hi Simon, thanks for connecting with me. How are you finding things during these interesting times?" I mean, don't you want to say, fuck off and take your head for a shit? Come up with something more original.
I tend to leave those ones, right? And then what happens is you get another 2 or 3 messages, and then you get the one that says, I'm sure you're really, really busy. I'm going to reach out one last time with my automated bot.
They're not all automated bots. It's some of these morons actually think that you're going to be responsive to these difficult times, these interesting times. Fuck off, you know? Just go and do one. Go and think of something a bit more original to say. They're just doing it because somebody sent it to them, I'm sure. You know,
it's a landslide, idiots. Isn't it? There's that much of it out there now that it's overwhelming. You know, there's that many coming through. So the better, the better strategy is to have the better content and give away the knowledge, like you're doing with the QCast. You know, these interviews. You know, I hope people do go back and watch a few of them, and if they've got time, because there's some really good stuff in there.
Well, we did one with, I've done two with people who were in the Law of Attraction film, The Secret, which was written by a woman called Rhonda Byrne, who's Australian, and her inspiration from that was a book called, written in 1900 and something, early on, called The Science of Getting Rich by a guy called Wallace D. Wattles. And so I interviewed Mike Dooley, who I know personally. He was one of the experts in that. And then just last week, I did one with Bob Proctor. I think you might have seen it. So we've had a bit of traction with that. And I'm lining up some other interesting people. Like we had Jeremy Harbour yesterday, yourself today. I'm lining up with JP de Villiers, who's a top-level NLP, Tony Robbins trained coach, and he's an interesting guy as well. So he had this terrible accident, I'm sure you saw it on LinkedIn last year, where basically like a hit and run when he was on a cycle, and he's got tons of metal in his body, and he recovered. I think he recovered like 3 times as quick as any normal person might have recovered. That's if they recovered, and it was all through his mindset. And obviously massive support and help from his wife and family, and lots of well wishers too. So I'm looking to hook up with a guy called Victor Antonio, who is a shit hot American sales trainer. I've seen tons of these guys, and this guy's really good, you know, very engaging, and he just looks the part. He reminds me of Zig Ziglar without the hair, you know. He's absolutely fantastic. And also hooking up shortly with Jordan Belfort, the original Wolf of Wall Street. Got a dialogue going with him about scheduling something. I'm probably going to do another one with Peter Sage as well at some point. So busy on that. How does anybody, because I do this because I love it, but I wouldn't mind making money from it. How does somebody like me, anybody who's out there thinking, I'd like to podcast, I'd like to be, I don't know, fucking next Joe Rogan, somebody like that, How do you actually money? I mean, that Joe Rogan thing's just sold it for 100 mil to Spotify, I mean, and that's my son has always got Joe Rogan on morning, noon, and night, and he's got some staples on there. One's a guy called Joey Diaz. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen that one, no.
Oh, he's big fat yank. He's an ex-drug dealer. He looks like this guy could be in fucking Goodfellas or something like that, But he's as funny as fuck. And when he goes off on a rant, my God, you know, I'm surprised he even needs a microphone. You could hear him from America right to England. You know, he's so loud, but he's always on Joe Rogan. So my son was like a big fan of Apple Music. So I'm on the dark side. I use Android, and I use YouTube Music. I used to use Deezer. So my kids absolutely hated me for that, you know, because they're real Apple people. And he was like big into Apple Music. But since Joe Rogan has sold to Spotify, just so he doesn't miss any episodes when Joe Rogan's podcast, new ones, come off of YouTube initially and go on to Spotify exclusively, he switched to Spotify. Isn't that amazing? I wonder how many kids and people have done that for that reason. I bet there's a lot.
Oh, yeah. And I do hope you're putting all of these onto your YouTube channel. You know, that's one.
How do you get the traction on the YouTube channel? Because it's, you know, we've all heard the analogy, the internet's like a massive library. You just go and write a page and index it and put it in a massive books, you know, then nobody sees it. And I have put stuff up on YouTube, and unless I've actually sent the links to people and done some work to get momentum on it, because I'm not Joe Rogan, because I'm not one of these prolific YouTubers or podcasters, it can sit there for 3 months and get maybe 1 view. And I've got a few people subscribed as well, but no one's looking at it.
That's the catch-22. So we get that all the time. And that's where a lot of these brands that we're dealing with, they'll sit there and say, well, you know, YouTube, tried it, not really got anywhere. A bit like you've just said, you know, we put stuff on YouTube and it doesn't really get anywhere. The catch-22 is Google want you to pay for it. They want you to pay to promote the content, and then you will get organic traction. And then it's about consistency. So it is, you know, the worst thing you can do is make one piece of content and put it in one place and leave it there and that's it, right? Obviously, you need to put it across as many platforms as you can, and build your audience. And the building of the audience is the personality thing. You know, I'm doing a piece of work with, again, somebody who I can't mention's name, but they are a business celebrity, and her, without giving it away, her you know, growth strategy involves 5 to 10K a month on paid ads, and that is leading to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And then once you've built the audience, then anything, you know, like if I gave you 100,000 subscribers, everything you put out, you'll get good traction on straight away, and then it snowballs. You have to go over the top of the hill to start with. And that's the investment that a lot of people won't invest in, or they don't commit to making enough regular content that's interesting enough. You know, you're on the path of you're getting to interview some amazing people, you know, excluding me, right? But you're getting to, you know, those type of interviews. No, they will get traction. And they will get attention. But for example, the Jordan Belfort one, if you then put a paid strategy around that to get views, those views will only cost you between half a pence and 1 pence, right? So you might only say, I'm going to put a couple of £100 on it, but you're going to get 20, 30,000 views. You start getting 20, 30,000 views regularly, then you're going to get subscribers, watch, and it's all about retention. So the most important thing, if anybody's listening to this and they want to get their content to the top organically on YouTube, the most important thing is getting people to watch as far through your video as possible, or take steps throughout a video. So for example, when we put this video up on your YouTube channel afterwards, we will time code parts of it. So there'll be a bit where we talked about click fraud. There'll be the bit where we mentioned Joe Rogan. They're the bit where we talked about Facebook, right? Now, somebody who bobs on and sees, oh, it's an hour-long video, I'm not watching all that. Oh, but I like Joe Rogan. I want to see what Steve had to say about that. They click on that link to go to whatever it is, 25 minutes through, right? Right. That is as good a signal as you will get for ranking, right? And then if you can come up organically in the suggested videos, that's when you explode, right? And you've got, the trouble is, a lot of the traffic on YouTube is obviously kids, isn't it? So a lot of kids are watching, you know, you and I might watch music and the odd film, or, you know, a few series, or I watch a few live events and things like that. But we were talking about it being the Wild West, and YouTube is still that right now, because there's that much getting uploaded to it. There are about 500-600 hours of footage getting uploaded to YouTube every single second that we are alive, right? Wow. You cannot fill that with ads, right? Most of it is garbage, right? So to break through, you need a paid strategy, right? You need, like,
that makes sense.
Yeah. You know, that's how it is. And you just have to be prepared to pay a little bit, play the game a bit, put some good interest. The most important thing is to make it interesting and have good content. And
I went into my, I really want to interview this guy, Ian Gillan. He's a singer from Deep Purple. Yeah. Yeah. And that Deep Purple was Smoke Underwater. You know that song, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not going to sing it.
No, nor am I. Nor am I. I'll spare everyone. That was the first rock song that took me on a massive journey of rock and roll festivals all over the world, and I'm still massively. I heard it when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and in 2006, when I was living in the south of France, they played at the Palais Neckar in Nice. And I was friends back then with a lot of the hotel concierge from Nice and Monaco. And I found out where they were staying. So I went to the hotel. And I actually got my mate and I, who'd come over from London for the gig. We got in the lift with Ian Gillan. And I said, all right, Ian's going to be a good show tonight. And he sort of looked at his feet and he says, nah, it'll probably be shit. And he kind of ignored us, and I was gutted. So we went to the gig anyway. Had loads of beers, and the gig was amazing. And I said to my mate, "Come on, we're going back to that hotel." It was a Palais de Mediterranee hotel. I said, "We're going back. If he doesn't like us when he's sober, he's sure not going to like us when we're pissed, eh?" And so we go into the bar. We go into the bar at the hotel. And he came in. There was only us in the bar. It was surreal, actually. He came in with the keyboard player, a guy called Don Airy, and who's played with Ozzy and Rainbow and bands like that. And you know what? He came straight up to us, Ian Gillan. He said, "Lads, I am so sorry about this afternoon. Let me buy you a drink." He said, "Have you ever been traveling for 9 hours and just needed the bathroom and that's all you can think about?" And we got absolutely shit-faced with him. And he told us all the stories about Richie Blackmore, about the tours, about Japan. He was amazing. He was the nicest guy you could meet. And so he then gave me his email address and the email address of his assistant. And he said, "Oh, we're playing Wembley at Christmas. Come and see us and come and have a drink backstage," which we did. So I've gone into my old email address book. But those email addresses, they don't work anymore. They've clearly moved on, because I'd really love to interview him. He probably doesn't remember that occasion, but he might do, because his memory was unbelievable. My friend's from Belgrade, and when Ian had left Deep Purple the first time and started his own band called the Ian Gillan Band, they played in Belgrade. And my mate was telling him how he'd got into the gig with no ticket. He'd gone on the train with no ticket and all this. And Ian Gillan was telling him things that he remembered from that gig, things that had happened on that tour. And that was a long time ago. So he got a great memory. He was a lovely guy, though. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to watch that one if you get him on.
I want to interview him. I'd love to interview Jimmy Page as well. I've met him like lots of times, 5, 6 times I've met Jimmy Page in Kensington there, where I used to live. So yeah, those sort of people interest me, as well as personal development people and business people like yourself. Simon, thanks very much. It's been absolutely brilliant, again, talking to you here. And I look forward to hooking up with you again very, very soon. Yeah?
Yeah, good to see you, Steve. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.